So in the last session, we have discussed about the field data types and what exactly a data type represents, what is the use of that data type, and how many data types has been given by Salesforce, which needs to be used upon creating a field inside the object, and what properties are available for each and every data type, and we have discussed. So in the previous session, we have discussed few of the data types, like we have discussed about the text data type and what exactly the text data type represents, and we have discussed about the text area data type and what properties are available for the text area, and the text area long we have discussed, text area rich also we have discussed, number data type, checkbox data type, email, phone data type, percent, and we have discussed about the URL. Now we have few more data types are available. So let's see what properties are available for these data types and how to use this. The next data type is the date data type. That means upon creating a column, upon creating a column inside my object, now. So upon creating the column inside this table, sometimes I would like to store some data. For example, assume that I'm having an object here. In order to store some customers' data, so I'm going to be preparing the ID column over here. I'm preparing the name column to store the customer name. I would like to store the customer date of birth. I would like to store the customer date of birth. Date of birth is what? A date value, which will be having some YY format. So I would like to store his birth date. And along with that, I would like to store his joining date. I would like to store his joining date here. So now here in this kind of scenario, whenever we are going to storing some data birth and the joining date, so for these columns we have to store, this column should allow only the date values inside that. It should not accept any other characters. It should not accept any other numerical values. It should accept only that the date format of values. So which should be in the form of YY format here. I would like to store the date values. Date of birth, joining date. Suppose if I'm storing some products information at that time, for every product you will be having the manufacturing date, it will be having some expiry date. Like that, I would like to store those dates information. In this case, if you want to store some date values inside that particular column, then we have to define this column with the data type of type date. So that here, in order to store the date values inside a column, we have to use the data type called as date. So now in this case, you can raise a question. So now do I need to enter this date value in this format? Or do we have any calendar to select the date? Yes, we have a calendar is available to select the date. Like for example, so when you go to your Salesforce instance, whenever we are going to be creating a record, if there is any date fields are available, if there is any date fields are available, those date value we can able to select directly over here. Like for example, there is a field called as SLA expiration date. So which is the date field which is populating the today's date over here directly here. Suppose if you want to enter the today's date, then you need just to click on that date, automatically that will be populating over here. Or else, apart from this today's date, if you want to select a different one, If you want to select the past date or the future date at that time, just click on inside this text box. Automatically, Salesforce will open a pop-up calendar to you over here. It will open a pop-up calendar. From this pop-up calendar, select the date whatever you want. Sir, for example, I would like to give that expiration date as that will be in the May. May 22nd will be the expiration date. So, for example, I'm selecting this one. So, the date will be getting populating inside this. Okay, the date will be populating inside this over here. So that here in this case, we can able to enter the date, okay, by selecting from a pop-up calendar. For that reason, if you want to create these kind of fields, then we have to use a data type called as date data type. Okay, now. So this data type allows us to store the date values inside the column by selecting from the pop-up calendar. By selecting from the pop-up calendar. Now, the properties. As usual, you are aware of that the first four properties are common, because the field label property is a common property. Second one is the field name or the API name property is also common property. Third one is the description property is also a common property. And the fourth one is the help text is also a common property. And the fifth property is required. There is a property called as required checkbox. Required checkbox is also a property in order to make that field value as mandatory. You know that yesterday we have discussed about this required checkbox also in order to make that column mandatory over here. That already Salesforce has given 4 ways to make that field mandatory. Because by upon creating this field, we can select this required checkbox to make that field mandatory. And the second one is we can use that page layout customization. Third one is we can use that the validation rules. And the fourth one we can use the triggers. As part of development, we'll see the triggers also to make that field mandatory. Now, the next one, the time value, the time data type here. So time data type is used to store the time values inside that column. Sometimes, assume that I'm scheduling a meeting. Okay, I'm scheduling a meeting. When? Today. At what time? Evening at 6:30. Regarding my client call. Regarding my client call, I would like to schedule a meeting today so that all the people has to be get assembled inside a so-and-so conference room. Or else, for example, I'm a salesperson. Today, I made a call to one of our customer regarding a product. The customer is very much interested to buy our product. So, I made a call to him. So now he told me that he is ready to buy the product, and then he asked me to come to his office afternoon at 1 o'clock so that we can complete the documentation formalities. So we need to complete the documentation formalities here. So that he has scheduled a meeting when? Today afternoon at 1 o'clock. So because that will be a lunch time, so he will be having some free time so that we can sit for some time, we can complete the documentation formalities regarding that new product. So in this case, what happened? We need to store some time value also. In order to store those kind of time values inside a column, we have to use this time data type. Okay, time data type. So time data type is used to store the time values inside that column. Then in this case, whenever I'm storing the time value inside that column, okay, the time value will be having what? Hours and minutes. So in this case, upon storing the time value, we can able to store either 12 hours format or the 24 hours format also here. We can able to store the time value inside the 12 hours format and the 24 hours format also here. 12 hours format means what here? For example, I'm entering the value like as 10 p.m. Whenever I'm indicating AM or PM, then it will be comes under that 12 hours format over here. Suppose for example, when you go to that, the railway reservations, Railway people are purely following the 24 hours format over here. Like as they're indicating some 18:30. Okay, 18:30. So 18:30 means what here? Evening 6:30 p.m. Okay, evening 6:30 p.m. So like that here we can able to store the time either in 12 hours format or 24 hours format also. So now in this case, upon storing the time value, we can able to store the time in terms of hours and the minutes. Okay, hours and the minutes. Like for example, we can specify so morning 9:45 a.m. and then we can able to specify the time in terms of hours and the minutes and the seconds also here. Like as we can specify 10, 25, some 45 seconds. We can able to store that time in terms of hours, minutes and the seconds also. Sometimes if you want to store the milliseconds also, we can specify here. Hours, minutes, seconds and the milliseconds. Milliseconds also. Now for example, I would like to store 10 or some 11, 11:45 and then 16 seconds. I would like to store some milliseconds also here. Now tell me for 1 second how many milliseconds that we have. For 1 second, how many milliseconds that we have? So for 1 second, we are having 1000 milliseconds. 1000 milliseconds are equals to 1 second. So in this case, I would like to specify some 945 milliseconds also. So that depends upon your requirement. Whenever I'm storing some time value, time data type will allow us to store both 12 hours format of time and the 24 hours format of time also. At that time, upon storing the time value, we can able to store the time in the form of the hours and the minutes, or hours, minutes and the seconds, and along with milliseconds also we can able to store. That possibility is available. So that to store this time value, we are going to be using this time data type. Okay. So time data type allows us to store the time values, okay, based on the requirement. Now, this data type allows us to store the time values inside the column. Inside the column, either in 12 or 24 hours format. Either in 12 or 24 hours format. Now, so for this one, what properties are available? Now the same properties like as your date. For the date data type, whatever the properties are available, the same properties are available here also. The first four properties are common. Along with that, we can make this field also required. We can make this field mandatory by using this required checkbox as well here. The flexibility is available to you. Now, the next one is date time data type. So what do you mean by this date time data type? Now let's see. Sometimes I want to store date along with the time also. Okay, sometimes I want to store date along with the time. Like for example, when you go to any of the record, whatever we have, for example, take any of the record. Salesforce is having some audit fields. Okay, Salesforce is having some audit fields on every object. So now we have a record, nothing but we have a customer record that is called as Merck Pharma. So Merck Pharma is one of the record here, which is one of our customer. So now here in this case, we have created this record when on a specific date, at what time and so on, so specific time. So in this case, you will be having a field called as created by. In this created by, it is storing that who has created that particular record and on what date and what time. That means it is indicating that. Okay. Now it is indicating that here. The date and time value also both it will be storing inside this. So in this case, if you want to store here also the last modified date also here. So now we can able to track that information. We can able to track that information. So now it will be indicating that both the date and time values also. Suppose for example, if you want to store both the date and time values inside a specific column, then we have to use a data type called as date time data type. So date time data type will allow us to store both the date and time value inside that column here. In order to store the date time stamp value inside a column, we are using this date time data type. Now, so this data type allows us to store the date time stamp value inside the column. For example, created date, last time modified date, and then deleted date, etc. Like that. To create these kind of columns, we have to select the data type as date type. Now, so in this case for the date time data type also, you are having the same properties. Like the first four properties are common, and along with that it will be having a property called as required checkbox to make that column mandatory here. Okay, next. The next data type is currency data type. So what exactly the currency data type and what is the use? Currency data type is used to store the currency values. That means numbers. We are dealing that currency in terms of numbers, numerical values, which will be having integer part as well as decimal part also. Like for example, I would like to store some 10,000 rupees, okay, 50 paisa. Or I would like to pay some service tax to the government, which like some 345 rupees, 23 paisa. That means what? We are storing that numerical values here. Currency will be dealing in terms of numerical values where it will be having that integer part. Okay, it is having that integer part, and then along with that it will be having the decimal part also over here. Okay, it is having both integer and the decimal part. So in this case, if you want to store the currency values, okay, if you want to store the currency values inside a column which contains both integer and the decimal part, then we can go with the currency data type. Then you can raise the question, sir, yesterday we have discussed about a number data type. There also we are storing that numerical values, but here also I'm storing numerical value. Then what is the difference between that number data type and the currency? Suppose for example over here, assume that I'm having a field called as some salary. Okay, already I'm having a field called as some salary, an employee salary here. Suppose for example I'm entering the salary as some 25,000. So now whenever you are saving this record, okay, whenever you are saving this record, the salary value will be getting visible like this. It will be showing like as $25,000. That means what? Whatever the value that we have entered inside this salary field, that means in the currency field, that value will be getting prefixing with that currently configured currency symbol. The currency symbol will be getting visible to you over here, like as $25,000. Suppose if I am giving 25,000, then what is 25,000? Is it rupees? Is it dollars? Is it pounds or what? In this case here, whenever I'm using this currency field will display that currency value, whatever you have entered, along with that currently configured currency symbol also. Along with the currency symbol also, we can able to show that. So for that reason, they have introduced that currency field. So that currency field will be allowing us to store the numerical values up to 18 digit. Okay, up to 18 digit. Like as yesterday we have discussed. For the number data type, for the percent also we have discussed the same. Here also, currency field data type will allow us to store a numerical value which contains maximum of 18 digits, including decimal points also. Including decimal points, we can able to store a 18 digit number inside this. Where? From these 18 digits, how many digits you want to allow for the decimal point here? Whenever I'm going with my currency, now inside my currency here, I would like to allow the 2 digits for the decimal points. The remaining 16 digits will be for the integer part over here. So in this case here, currency data type will allow us to store the integer values or the numerical values, okay, which will be having both integer part as well as the decimal part up to 18 digit number we can store inside this, including decimal points. So in this case, whatever the value that I have entered inside my currency field, that value will be getting prefixing with that currency symbol automatically by default. Now, So now let's see currency data type. This data type allows us to store the numerical values, including decimal points up to maximum of 18 digits. Now, for example, now I'm giving the note file. It will prefix the specified currency value with the currently configured currency symbol. So now here, when coming to the currency data type will be configuring that, it will be prefixing that the currency value aligned with that currency value which you have specified. So it will prefix that the currency symbol. So now here in this case, what data types are available for this currency data type? Now let's see. Currency data type is also having that the first four data types are common. Next data type is a required shell box. And the sixth property is the length. Because by default it is allowing us to enter an 18-digit number. But I don't want that much of number. I want to allow up to maximum of some 10 digits. So we can specify the length to specify the number of digits to be get allowed. So how many number of digits should be get allowed inside this column, we can specify that. And the seventh property, from this number of digits, how many digits you want to allocate for the decimal points. For that one we can specify the property. Number of decimal digits. We can specify an integer value here, which is indicating, so these many number of digits I would like to allow for the decimal points. For that one we can able to specify this information. So these are the various properties are available when coming to the currency data type over here. Like for example, when you go to my Salesforce instance, let's go to my account records here inside my account object. So whatever the currency value is visible to you, this currency value is going to be populating along with that the currency symbol as well. Now dollar has been prefixed. So whatever the currency value, annual revenue value is available, that value has been prefixed with the currently configured currency symbol like as dollars. The default currency symbol in Salesforce is dollar. Okay, the default currency symbol inside your Salesforce application is dollar. So now you can raise a question, sir, for example, my business is only in India. Okay, my business is only in India. So we are going to be dealing that money in terms of rupees. Can I change this currency symbol? Yes, there is a possibility. How can we change this currency symbol over here? So in order to change that currency symbol, there is a navigation is available. Let me show you that. So as of now, currently it is showing that dollar symbol over here. Now, I want to change that currency symbol. How can we change? Now let's see. So let's go to that setup menu, whatever we have in the right side. Click on this setup menu. Go to the build menu in the left panel. So they go to the administer menu in the left panel. In that administer menu, you will be having an option called as company profile. Expand this company profile. Inside that we have an option called as company information. So just to go to this company information link, click on this company information link over here. Once you click on this company information link, it is providing a user interface to you. In this user interface, it is indicating an option called as currency locale. Okay, the currency locale. That means here what currency option you have selected by default. The default currency symbol is English United States dollars, nothing but US dollars. But I don't want US dollars. I would like to change this one. So that click on edit button. Okay, click on edit button. So inside this one, you will be having a section called as currency settings section. you will be having a section called as currency settings section. So this is the currency settings section is available. Inside this currency settings section, we have a field called as currency locale. So which will be populating that US dollars by default. The currently configured currency is US dollars. Now, but I don't want US dollars, I want Indian currency. Because my business has been spread across to the India only here. So now in this case, select that currency, whatever you want. So now here in this case, I would like to specify all the currencies are populated over here. I want to use English India. So there is an option called as English India is available here. There is an option called as English India. So this is the value here, which is going to populating in terms of rupees symbol. Select this English India. Now make it save. Make it save. So once you click on save, automatically whatever the currency values are available, these currency values will be getting visible to you in the form of rupees. So there is a browser issue over here. That's what it is not populating the currency value. Let me open my same application by using another browser. There is a browser issues available here. Let me log in into a different browser. Now, so we have changed that currency value to rupees. Let's go to your account object over here. Once you click on accounts, it will display all the currency values with the rupees over here. Now, let's see. See. So it is populating that annual revenue value with the rupees. Because I have changed that values to rupees over here. Instead of using dollars, I would like to use rupees. So now here in this case here, whenever if you want to change the currency values, then we can use that currency settings section. In that one, we have an option called as currency locale field. In that one, we can select what currency value or currency symbol you would like to populate. So depends upon your requirement, we can specify this information as well. Now, so now here in this case, when coming to that currency field, whatever the currently configured currency is available, that value will be getting visible to you by default over here. Now, so in this case here, if you want to change that currency, then we can able to change that currency symbol. Also depends upon the country to which you are associated. So depends upon the location for which you are operating your business. Now, in this case, you can raise a question. Sir, for example, my business has been spread across to the multiple countries. We have a branch in US, we have a branch in India, we have a branch in Japan, we have a branch in China, we have a branch in the Middle East also. It's an MNC organization, it's a multinational company. We have the branches in the multiple places, in the multiple countries. Then at that time, in every country we have some different currencies are available. Then how can we maintain? Can we maintain the multiple currencies values inside a single application? Yes, there is a possibility. How can we do that? Let's see. When you're going to that company information, click on this edit button, go to that currency settings section. Here we have an option called as activate multiple currencies. there is a checkbox called as activate multiple currencies checkbox. So that here, whenever we are enabling this checkbox, automatically multiple currencies will be getting allowed for your organization itself. So inside your application is only one. Customers are accessing from different places in the world. So depends upon the location from which they are accessing the application, it will display that respective currency symbol over there.
Feroz, you're setting these options on the profile level?
No, in the organization level.
What is organization level means?
Organization means for the entire application. Okay. Entire
Can you show? So,
all the users are comes under this organization.
okay.
Now, so in this case, whenever the people are going to be accessing the application from a location or from a country, then automatically based on that country, Salesforce is going to populating that respective currency symbol. Then we can raise a question, sir, how the Salesforce will know that I'm accessing the application from a specific location, from a US or from a India, from some Middle East, how the Salesforce is tracking that? Salesforce is tracking the whole information over here. When you go to the manage users, here you will be having an option called as login history. Once you click on this login history, it is populating that whole information. From which location you are accessing the application over here. So it is tracking that. So this is the username that I have used to log in into the application. And this is the login date and time. This is the system's IP address which I have used to log in into my application. This is the location from where I am accessing the application. And then my login is successful. And then I'm using that Firefox browser. And then I'm using that Windows 7 operating system inside my application, inside my system. And then I'm using this browser to log in into the application here. The whole information will be tracking by Salesforce. Suppose if I'm logging into the application from US, then it is going to be converting that currency value to the US. It will be displaying that information automatically by default. So, but at that time, you can raise a question, will it just change that currency symbol or will it change the value also? Because, for example, today I am creating a record from India. There I have specified the annual revenue value as some 30 lakhs. 30 lakhs rupees because I am accessing the application from India. So the currency symbol is rupees 30 lakhs. Today night I am flying to US. Tomorrow, when you access the same record from the US, then what it will display? 30 lakhs dollars? No, because there is a huge difference between 30 lakhs rupees and the 30 lakhs dollars. At that time, it is using the currency converter inside that. Salesforce will use a currency converter application based on that current dollar value at that time. It will be converting this 30 lakhs rupees into that respective dollars and that value will be getting visible. So for that reason, whenever we are going to be enabling that the multiple currencies for your organization, at that time, we need to contact the Salesforce people as well. So that enabling the multiple currencies involving the two steps over here. As a step one, so now we have to select this checkbox over here, activate multiple currencies, and then we have to raise a case to the Salesforce people in order to enable the multiple currencies option for your organization as well. So that whenever if your customers are accessing the application from a different country, based on that country, the respective currency symbol will be getting visible and the value will be getting converting to the respective currency based on that current value of the currency, okay, at that time. So that here we have to enable this feature and we need to contact the Salesforce as well over here. Now, so now here in this case here, so for that reason here, whenever we are going to be maintaining the multiple currencies here, we have to contact the Salesforce support people as well in order to enable that option. Because here if I'm selecting this activate multiple currencies, okay, it won't allow directly because from the Salesforce side there is a switch. There will be having some options are available which they will enable, which will be converting that currency value based on the currency converters. So for that one, we have to raise a safe case to that Salesforce as well, so that they will enable the multiple currencies from the Salesforce side. From there, your values will be activating automatically by default. Okay. So these are the options are available whenever we are going for the currencies. It is a common question because sometimes if the application has a globalization applications, which will be supporting the multiple languages, which can be accessible from the multiple countries. At that time, we need to enable the multiple currencies as well. So that Salesforce has given that option called as activate multiple currencies for your organization. Okay, now. So for that reason here, whenever if you want to store some currency values, then we can go with that currency data type which has been given by Salesforce. Now, the next data type. The next data type is pick list. So what exactly the pick list field basically here? Pick list is nothing but the drop down. Pick list is nothing but a drop down. So whenever we are going to be using some different applications, sometimes some list of options will be getting populated, like as by using a drop down. They're populating some list of values. For example, there is a field. Select your country. Select your country name. So there is a field called as country field, which is a pick list. Okay, which is a pick list. This is called as a drop-down list. Generally, in other programming languages, we are calling it as drop-down. But when coming to the Salesforce, it is called it as pick list. So now in this case here, when coming to the drop-down, what it will populate? It is populating so many country names. Whatever the country names are available, all the country names will be getting populated over here. Like as for example, it is populating those values. Like as India, USA, UK, Japan, China, some Australia, and some Middle East. Like that here, so many country names will be getting populated over here. So now by default, inside my pick list field, it is populating that value none. Okay, the default value is none. And when you expand this one, automatically the list of values will be getting populated to you. From this one, how many values you can select? Only one. Okay, only one value. Okay, so we can able to select only one value from this list over here. From this list of elements, okay, from this list of elements, we can able to select only one value here. We can select only one value. So in this case, what are the list of values are available? From this list of values, we can pick up only one. That's what they have given the name as pick list. That means there are some list of values are populated to you. From those list of values, please pick up only one. Please pick only one. Please select only one. So that pick list field allows you to select only one element from the collection of elements. Okay, from the collection of elements, we can select only one element over here, not multiple. There is a functionality of the pick list control. So now here in this case here, when coming to the pick list control, what properties are available to you? Okay, now let's see practically one by one. Now, this control will populate a set of values inside it, and the user can select only one element. Only one element from the list. Now, the properties. The first four properties are common. Okay, the first four properties are common as it is here, that you are aware of that. And the next one is required checkbox. Okay, next one is required checkbox. Required checkbox is used to make that field value mandatory. In order to make that field mandatory, we are having the required checkbox. Next, the sixth property. You will be having a property called as values. Okay, values. This is also called as list of values also, LOVs, list of values. Now inside my control, inside my pick list, what values you would like to populate? So these are the values I would like to populate. In order to enter this value, Salesforce is providing a property called as values property. Okay, that is also called as list of values property. List of values property is used to specify all these values which I would like to populate. Now, next one. So now whenever I'm going to be entering, in order to enter that values, it is populating that here. So there is a text area will be available over there. So now here we have to enter all these values one by one, one by one, one by one. In this case, you want me to populate the values as it is, or you want me to arrange these values in the alphabetical order? I want to arrange in alphabetical order. For that one, Salesforce is providing one property over here. There is a property is available. Arrange the values in alphabetical order. There is a checkbox is available. There is a checkbox is available called as arrange the values in alphabetical order, which is used to arrange the elements in the alphabetical order. Whatever the country names you have entered, those country names should be getting arranging in the alphabetical order, and those alphabetical order values will be populating inside that pick list. Next, the eighth property. The eighth property is make the first value as the default. Sometimes here I want to make this India value as the default one. It should not be having the value none, it should have the default value as India. It should have the default value as India. So at that time, if you want to make this first value as the default one, then we have a property called as make the first value as the default checkbox. So there is a checkbox is available over here. There is a checkbox, make the first value as the default. So in this case, whatever the first element is available, that first element will be making it as default over here inside my pick list field. Next, the ninth value here, ninth property, restrict the pick list values from programming. Okay, programming. So there is a checkbox is available. Restrict the pick list values from the programming. That means what over here? In this case, for example, inside my country pick list, these are the country names are available. Okay, these are the country names are available. Because my business is available only in these countries. So today, I'm inserting a new record. Okay, I'm inserting a new record into this same table through programming. So at that time, inside the country field, if I'm passing a different value other than this country, then what should happen? Will it accept my record or not? If I'm passing a wrong country name, then upon inserting the record through programming, for the country field, if I'm passing a different value other than this list of country names, if I'm passing a different country name, then what will happen? What needs to be done? It should accept the record or it should cancel that operation. So for that one, Salesforce is giving a checkbox to you, restrict the pick list values from programming. That means here, upon inserting the record through programming, whatever the values we have supplied for the country, we have to specify the same value inside that pick list here. If you're passing that some different values, it should not accept. For that one, we are going to be using this checkbox. We can make that switch on, we can make that switch off also. Okay, now. So these are
Just
the properties are
can you
available.
give example ones for this one? Restrict the pick list value for programming.
Sorry?
Can you give an example for this? Restrict the pick list value from programming. Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, sure. For example, assume that here, whenever I'm creating this pick list field, I have selected the checkbox over here. Okay, I have selected the checkbox. There is a checkbox is available. Restrict the pick list values. Okay, these are values. So these are properties available. Now this property I have selected. Okay, this property I have selected. This property is selected for my field. So these are the country names are available here. So upon inserting the record inside my object, for this country field, we have to populate only, we have to pass only this value. For example, I'm creating a new customer record. Okay, I'm inserting a new customer record here. New customer record. So now for this customer here, upon creating this record for the country field, okay, I'm giving the value called as, okay, I'm giving a different value called as some Pakistan or some Bangladesh. I'm giving that country name as Bangladesh. Now, what should happen in this case? But we don't have any branch from Bangladesh. So in this case, how this value should accept? So in this case, what it will do, whenever this checkbox is selected, upon creating a record through programming, whatever the country value that you have specified, it will verify. This country value is available inside this list or not. If this country name is available inside this list, then only your record will be accepted, or else your record will be simply aborted automatically by default. It won't accept that. Suppose, for example, if this checkbox is not selected, okay, if this checkbox is not selected, in this case, whenever I'm creating a new record, if I'm passing a different country name over here, like as if I'm passing Bangladesh, this record will be accepted inside my object as it is, and then along with these country names, it will be populating the Bangladesh value also here inside the list. This is the functionality. Depends upon your requirement, we can able to select that. If I'm enabling this checkbox, it won't accept the other values. Okay, it won't accept the other values other than this. Only these values will be getting acceptable inside this column. When you try to pass the other values, at that time, the record will be simply discarded. Record will not be acceptable inside the table over here. Okay, this is the functionality of restrict the pick list values from programming. Now, the next control. Next control is the pick list multi-select. So what do you mean by this pick list multi-select control? Pick list multi-select control is nothing but your list box. When you go to other programming, we are calling it as list box. Now, at that time, sometimes not only selecting one value, we need to select the multiple values also. Okay, we need to select the multiple values also. So for that reason, Salesforce is providing a control called as pick list multi-select. Like for example, assume that I would like to have a field which is called as some hobbies. Select your hobbies. So now it is populating all the hobby names over here. So it is providing the list of hobby names. Like it is populating the various hobbies like as chess, football, tennis, cricket, movies, music, reading books, like that. So many list of hobbies will be getting populating here. From these hobbies, the user can be able to select any one of that hobby or the multiple hobbies also. Because as a person can have not only one hobby, they can have the multiple hobbies also. At that time, they can able to select the multiple hobbies as well inside this. For that one, it is indicating this information. So now these are the list of hobbies, nothing but available hobbies. Okay, available hobbies. And then this is selected hobbies. These are the selected hobbies. So now in this case, in order to select those hobbies, it is providing the 2 button controls again over here. Here you will be having the 2 button controls. One is add button, second one is remove button. You will be having 2 buttons are available. One is for the add, second one is for the remove option. Depends upon your requirement over here. So in this case, suppose if you want to select these hobbies over here, then assume that I'm selecting some hobbies, list of hobbies I'm selecting. Like here, I would like to select the chess and some cricket and some movies and the music. I'm selecting these 4 hobbies. So select these hobbies by holding the control key, okay? Then click on add button. So now once you click on this add button, automatically these elements will be adding into my pick list over here. It will be adding these elements into my control. So these elements will be getting added over here. chess, cricket, movies, music. So these are the 4 hobbies I have selected over here. So in this case, whenever if you want to select the multiple elements from the collection of elements, then we can go with that pick list multi-select. So pick list multi-select control allows you to select the multiple elements, okay, to select the multiple elements from the collection of items. So for that reason, we are going to be using this pick list multi-select control. Now, let's come to a question in entry point of view. For example, I'm having a table, okay, I'm having a table. So this is my table that we have. Okay, this is my table. In this table, so many columns are available. ID column, name column, and the phone number column, and then hobby column. So these are the 4 columns are available. Assume that this is my hobbies column over here. Hobbies column. So now here how many hobbies I have selected? 4. This is the first one, second, third, and the fourth. How these 4 elements will be storing inside this column over here? Will it be creating like as a 4 records? Person is only one. Customer is only one. Do you want me to create 4 customer records? In the first record, hobby will be like as chess. In the second record, hobby like as cricket. Third record, hobby movies. Fourth record, hobby music. Do we need to create like that? How these multiple elements will be getting stored inside a single column?
Comma separated values.
Now, in this case, when coming to the Salesforce, whatever the hobbies you have selected, it will collect those 4 hobbies and will be concatenating, nothing but it will be appending those 4 values. Like for example, so these are the 4 values the user has selected, like as chess, cricket, movies, and then music. So in this case, it will be we're specifying that chess, and then after that cricket is available, it will be appending with this one. Then how it is going to appending by using a separator called as semicolon. Salesforce will use a separator called as semicolon over here. Chess, semicolon, cricket, semicolon, movies, semicolon, music. So these are the values here. Whatever the 4 values you have selected, these 4 values will be getting concatenating. Okay, these will be getting concatenating by using a separator called as the semicolon, and then this whole value will be treating like as a single string that value will be storing inside the record. That means whatever the values you have selected inside the multi-select pick list, those multiple values will be concatenating with the help of a separator called a semicolon, and then it will be storing that entire value as a single value inside that hobbies column here. Okay, this is the internal implementation of Salesforce. It's a common question in every interview. Whenever I'm storing some multi-select pick list values, how Salesforce will store these multiple values inside that? It will be concatenating those values, okay? It will be concatenating those values as a single one by using a separator called a semicolon, and the whole value will be treating like as a single string, and that string value will be storing inside the respective column inside the table. So this is the internal functionality of Salesforce upon using multi-select pick list fields. Okay, so now here in this case here, what properties are available when coming to the multi-select pick list as well? Now let's see. So in this case, pick list the multi-select. So this data type allows us to select the multiple elements from the collection of elements. Now I'm indicating that the selected elements will be concatenated by using a separator called as semicolon, and the whole value will be storing inside the field. The whole value will be storing inside that field over here. So this is the internal implementation of Salesforce. This kind of points generally the people will neglect, but in the interview point of view, these kind of functionalities are very, very important. A small point is enough to prove that you are not a genuine person, that you are a fake person. So that each and every point is very, very important over here. Now, so now let's see what properties are available. When coming to the properties, the first four properties are common as it is. The first four properties are common. Next, the fifth property is values property. Values property is used to specify the list of values to be get populated inside the control. Next one, you will be having a checkbox. Arrange the elements in alphabetical order. Okay, arrange the elements in alphabetical order. So whatever the values we have specified, those values has to be get arranged in the alphabetical order. Don't display like as a normal format whatever I have entered. I have entered that values in the jumbling order. So please arrange those elements in the alphabetical order, and that order of elements will be populating inside my control. Next, the seventh checkbox here. The seventh checkbox is restrict the pick list values from the program. So restrict the pick list values from the programming. So now these are the properties are available as part of pick list multi-select control. Next, the next field type is geolocation. So geolocation is for what? Now let's see. Nowadays, everybody is using these geolocation fields. Why? Because is when you go to that mobile, in order to go to your location, the people are using Google Maps. Okay, the people are using Google Maps. Based on the Google Map, you can able to travel to any place, whatever you want. We no need that address. We no need that route. If you know one location name, then enable that Google Map, and that will show that route map to you. So based on that route map, you can able to reach the destination as well. Sometime before, if any of our friend or if any of the relative wants to meet with you, then we are going to the bus stop to pick up the people. But nowadays, nobody is going to the bus stop. They're sharing that Google Map. They're sharing the location map. So that based on the location map, you will reach your address. So in this case, how you are going to be identifying that location? How the Google Map will identify your location? It will be identifying the location based on the two values. One is latitude, second one is longitude. Based on the latitude and the longitude values, we can able to identify a specific location. So now here in this case, if you want to store that, the latitude and longitude values inside a field, then we have to use a field type called as geolocation. Geolocation field is used to store the latitude and the longitude value of a specific location, which we can able to supply to the Google Map, so that based on this latitude and longitude, Google Map will generate a map location as well to you. So for that reason here, we are going to using geolocation field. So geolocation field is used to store the latitude and the longitude values inside that. Now, so this data type allows us to store the latitude and the longitude value of a specific location to be used to generate the Google Map. Now, how these values will be getting stored? By separating a comma. Okay, latitude and longitude values will be separating by a comma over here. Now, the properties. The first four properties are common as it is, and the fifth property is required checkbox. To make this field value mandatory, we are having the required checkbox properties available. So these are the properties are available as part of this geolocation. Next one, auto number. It's the most important field as part of that implementations. So what exactly the auto number here? Sometimes I want to make a column value auto generated. Sometimes I want to make a column value auto generated. That means I don't want to enter the value for that column by my own. I want to make that value has to be generated automatically by Salesforce. So in this case, if you want to make that column value auto generated, then we have to use auto number data type. So auto number data type will allow you to make that column value will be generating the sequence automatically, Salesforce automatically based on the specified sequence. Like for example, assume that when you go to the Excel sheet, when you go to your Excel sheet, Microsoft Excel, upon creating a new record inside that, it will be preparing the sequence number, nothing but the serial number, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Like the similar way, whenever I'm going to be creating some products, if I'm storing some products information inside my product object, for every product I need to allocate one product code. Okay, I need to allocate one product code. So for that one, I don't want to enter the product code for every product manually by my own. That has to be get generated by Salesforce itself. That means I am going to be delegating that responsibility to my Salesforce application itself, which will be generating the product codes automatically by default. So in this case, we can go with that auto number data type. So now at that time, we are having some properties are available here. Suppose for example, I want to generate the product codes like this. When coming to my products, the product code should be look like this here. PID hyphen, the first product code is 100001. This is the format that I'm expecting for my product codes. Second product code is PID hyphen 100002. Third product code is PID hyphen 100003. Like that, this sequence has to be keep on incrementing by one always. Sometimes I want to store my customer IDs here. My customer ID should be look like this, CID hyphen 1001. The second customer ID, CID hyphen 1002. Third customer ID, CID hyphen 1003. Like that here, keep on I would like to generate the sequence over here. So depends upon my format I would like to generate the sequence. So at that time, if you want to make a column value to be get auto generated, then we can go with this auto number data type. So upon generating that value, then in which format you want me to generate the value, that we can indicate. We can specify that format also here. We can specify the format. You want this format like this, or you want the format like this, or you want the format in which way? We can indicate your own format also based on your requirement. Based on that format, Salesforce will keep on generating the value over here. So for that reason, in order to store or in order to generate the value for that columns automatically by Salesforce, we are using auto number. So now these kind of data types are also called as system generated fields. These are also called as system generated fields. Okay, these are also called as system generated fields. That means for this field, value no need to enter by the user, that value will be generating by my Salesforce system itself. So in this case, these type of fields are always read-only fields. These are always read-only fields. We can't modify that value. We can't supply our own value. If you are passing the value, it won't accept. If you try to change that value, it won't accept. Because I have delegated my responsibility to my Salesforce system itself. The system will take care of generating the value for that. So we can't change that value. We can't modify. We can't supply. So in this case, when you try to supply the value, it won't accept. When you try to modify the value, it won't accept. So in this case here, in order to make that column value as auto-generated, then we have to use a data type called as auto number. Okay. Now, this data type is used to make the column value auto-generated by the Salesforce application. Now, these are also called as system generated fields. So which are purely read-only fields. Read-only fields. The user can't modify the field value. Now, make a note. Upon generating the value, we can specify the required format based on the application requirement. Based on the application requirement, we can specify the format also. Okay, now, in this case, what properties are available for this field type? Now, let's see practically here. Properties. The first four properties are common as it is. And the next property is display format. The next property is display format. That means in which format you want me to generate that auto number here. What is that format that you want? For example, my product ID should be like this. PID hyphen, it should be having 6 digits. We have to specify the format like this. 000000. All are zeros. That means here I want 6-digit number. Okay. Now this flower braces is used to indicate how many number of digits number you would like to generate here. So that I am specifying 6 digit, nothing but 6 zeros. This is the format. My customer ID should be CID hyphen a 4-digit number. So that here 4 zeros. My employee IDs like as some EID hyphen 6-digit number. Like that, we can specify that. Next, so this is the format only. Here always all the numbers, all the digits to be zeros. Next, from which number you want to start? For that one, there is a property called as starting number property. Starting number property is used to indicate from which number it has to start generating the sequence. Now, for the product ID is from where, which number you want me to start? Do you want me to start for the first product ID? What is the ID here? PID hyphen 000001 or 100001 or 200001. From where you want me to start? So for that one, we can indicate the starting number. To specify the number from which it should start generating the sequence. For example, 100001 or 1001 or some 2001. Depends upon your requirement. Next, the seventh property is there is a checkbox. For example, there is a requirement. I have a table which I have created very long back. In the table, some columns are there, some records are also there. Assume that I have some 100 records are there inside my table. Now today, my client asked me to add one auto number column inside my table. So I will create an auto number column now. It will work fine. So from now onwards, whenever I'm creating a new record, for that record, Salesforce will generate the auto number. A sequence number will be generated for the new record. Then what about the existing records? Do you want that auto number for existing records also or not? If you want, then how? For that one, Salesforce is providing one checkbox called as generate auto number for existing records. Okay, there is a checkbox called as generate auto number for existing records. So that here, whatever the existing records are available inside your object, for those records also it will be generating the sequence over here. That flexibility is available to you. Now, in this case, in the entry point of it, there is a common question. So what are the various system generated fields are available? So what are the various system generated fields are available in Salesforce? It's a common question in every interview, along with it is a common question in the admin certification 201. So in this case, when coming to the Salesforce, they are raising a question, what are these kind of fields are available, whose value will be generating the Salesforce. So in this case, Salesforce is generating that value for the ID column. Because whenever I'm creating a new record, ID will be generating the Salesforce or not? Yes, we are not providing that ID. Salesforce is generating that. ID is one of the system generated column. Next, auto number column also system generated. Next, after that, any other thing? Created by field. This field value also generating by Salesforce. Last modified by. This field value also generating by Salesforce itself. And along with that, we have two more field types are available, like as roll-up summary field. And along with that, we have the formula field. Okay, formula field. So these are the various fields are available whose value will be generating by Salesforce, so that these are called as system generated fields in Salesforce. Okay, so these are called as system generated fields in Salesforce. So it is a common question in every admin certification 201. They will give you some 3 options correctly. They will give you some 1 wrong option over here. So they will ask you to find out. So now from the below 4 options, which one is not a system generated field? So these are the system generated fields are available. Apart from these fields, if any of the other field name is mentioned, then that will be a wrong. That will be the correct answer for that. Okay.
Did we go through these formula fields? What is it?
Yes, that's everything. So formula fields, roll-up summary, these are the separate concepts we'll see. Okay. Now, the next one is the text encrypted. Text encrypted field is used to encrypt the value. So whatever the value we have entered, that value I would like to encrypt into some another format. Like as for example, when I go to my password, upon entering some password inside my text box, the password is converting into some another format. When you go to my bank, whatever the credit card number that we have, some of the characters has been encrypted. Like as it will show only the last 4 digits of my credit card. The whole credit card number will not be visible. So when you go to my bank account number, inside my transaction slip, the whole number will not be visible. The last 4 digits will be getting visible. And when you go to my bank ATM center to withdraw some money, whatever the PIN number that I have entered will be encrypting all the characters here. At that time, if you want to encrypt that information which you have entered, then we can go with the text encrypted data type. Text encrypted data type will allow you to encrypt the data into another formats over here, like as passwords, credit card numbers, bank account numbers, US insurance policy numbers. Like that, we can able to encrypt that information. For that reason, we are using this text encrypted data type. Now, this field type is used to store the encrypted values inside the column. For example, password, credit card numbers, and the US insurance policy number, your social security number, and then the bank PIN numbers, etc. So because this kind of information is very, very sensitive, very, very confidential. So at that time, we need to encrypt this information over here. For that one, we are using a field type called as text encrypted. So now in our further programming languages, we are going to be using this, the text encrypted data type. So these are the various data types are available as part of our Salesforce instance, and these are the properties are available now. So in tomorrow's session, we'll see how to create the fields inside the object by using this data type. And then whenever I'm creating the field, what will happen? And then we'll see the concept of page layout customization as well here. Creating fields. So tomorrow we'll see the concept of creating the fields, and along with that we'll see the concept of page layout customization also both. So what exactly the page layout, and then what it contains, How many modes are available for the page layout? How can we customize this page layout? We'll see practically.
Because regarding this formula fields and roll-up summary fields, that will be taken up later.
Yeah, because here those will be the separate concepts. Okay, when moving forward, we'll see that formula field concept also separately, and then during the relationship concept, we'll see the concept of formula roll-up summary fields. Okay, both will be covered.